How's it going, folks? Stu here. Gotta stop throwing my hands up when I start these videos. One of these days I will. Not today. Pixar have a new little film coming out called Luca. It drops on Disney Plus this weekend, tomorrow over here in the UK and everywhere else. And I've been really excited for this one ever since I saw it announced originally, whenever that was, because it just looks like my kind of Pixar film. I don't know what else there is to say on that. In its simplest terms, it's basically about these sea monsters that live underwater, and when they come up to the surface, you guessed it, they look like regular old bloody humans. But the story follows Luca, what a shocker, as he comes up to the human land and starts a friendship on this Italian Riviera coastal fishing town. And the film is essentially just that. It's watching that unfold in Pixar's typical animated fashion. And I'm happy to say that despite having somewhat high expectations for this one going in, I really enjoyed it. I thought this was a kind of a delightful little time. It's definitely not one of Pixar's most kind of, I guess, conceptually groundbreaking endeavors. I think there's a tendency to go into a Pixar film at the moment and just expect, I don't know, really deep conceptual ideas which dig at existential themes where you go, oh wow, didn't expect this from a kids film, even though after however many Pixar films have we not all just collectively learned to stop calling them kids films? This one admittedly doesn't really dive as thematically deep as some of their more recent films like Coco, Soul, the most recent of which, don't know why I went straight to Coco. And I think that in itself is going to be a deciding factor on how many people view this film and how you enjoy this film. But for me, I do think I was almost kind of refreshing to see them take a step back and just enjoy a chill time in the sun. Don't we all need that sometimes? It's a really short film as well. It's only 90 minutes, so it's quite a tight, economic little Pixar film where they can tend to go on a little bit longer. Those things together just make for a quaint old time. That's it, a quaint old time. The animation is stunning. We've got to get that straight out the bat. And stunning in a still very imaginative and creative way. I found recently with a lot of animated films, in this sort of endeavor to push for kind of photorealism in animation, some films feel like they're going a little bit too far, almost. I don't know if this is just me that thinks this, but let's take Raya and the Last Dragon, for example, another recent Disney film. The animation in that was astonishing, but it gets to a certain point where you're like, what are we doing here? If we're just going for live action photorealism as the end goal, why are we doing this animation thing? But I like that Pixar is doing that in the right places with the lighting and the textures and all of that stuff. But they're also, with their character design and their facial features, going cartoony as well. It's a really interesting and exciting mix, I think. And so in the case of films like Luca, you get beautiful Italian landscapes, you know, the sun over the oceans, over the grass, over those lovely sort of tile buildings. I kind of love the Italy landscape. I think you already probably knew that about me if you'd seen my Call Me By Your Name review, which is basically just me going, I like Italy. But you get that mixed with kind of playful character designs. You know, they don't look like humans. Playing Luca in the titular role is Jacob Tremblay, who you may know from Room, the film which kind of blew him up, and then he just became the go-to cute kid in most films forever on that point. I hate to talk shit about kids, but I did feel like I was getting a little bit cynical towards his casting in films, so I was admittedly a little worried going in that might feel the case here, and he might frustrate me more than he does actually work as his central character. But quickly, it just clicks. He's just great as Luca. He's got this kind of childlike excitement to him, but you also get that fish out of water, hey, literally feeling with him, which I think works well. But Jack Dylan Grazer, who you may know, I recognize him mostly from Beautiful Boy, which is, I still think, an underrated little gem. But he's also alongside Tremblay in the film, and the two of them have got a genuinely enjoyable relationship to watch unfold through their voices. I should have said hear unfold, eh? I was surprised at how much I did genuinely care about these guys, considering it is such a quick film. But that being said, I do think there are certain thematic beats which I don't know if I would necessarily say needs more time to evolve, but certainly there's something about them that just sort of lacks the punch I think the film's really aiming for. And I think a lot of people, for whatever reason, will say that that's down to the fact that it doesn't really try to go for big concepts, like something like Soul, the most recent, where, you know, you have someone that dies and we're following their spirit trying to get back to them. You know, that's a much bigger concept than just fish coming out of water and having a friendship. I think it comes back to that Pixar thing where it's easy to notice when they're not doing the big conceptual stuff and flag that as the reason it doesn't work. I don't think that's necessarily the reason some of the stuff here doesn't land as well as it does. I think instead it just sort of falls prey to its own pacing, which is difficult because I like the pacing. I like that it is a short, quick, delightful, enjoyable time. But I can't say that in certain emotional beats I wasn't left thinking like, oh, just a little bit longer to absorb that, particularly in the finale, which I won't go into too many spoilers on. It does in many ways just sort of do what you expect it to do, which I think is fine when you're doing it well, and I don't think it does it badly. But I don't know, come the end, I was just left feeling like just a little bit more time to absorb some of the emotional beats it's going for would have been nice. But that being said, none of that really hindered my experience with Luca. I just think that it stops it from becoming one of Pixar's all-time memorable greats. But the fact that it does something a little bit more chilled with its narrative, I just think that's going to be the divisive point for a lot of film fans. But I do think I could happily kick this one on, rewatch it if I ever need a quick fun time. Its heart's in the right place and it's really, really beautiful to look at. So it hits the things I needed it to hit to just work. Maybe it needed just a little bit more to really blow me away. But I don't necessarily think that's the fairest of terms to come at Luca on. You just got to kind of go with it at its own pace. And I think if you do that, there's a lot to find enjoyment in here. But what about you guys? Have you had a chance to check out Luca yet? Are you planning on watching it? Are you just not going to watch it? Any of those? Let me know in the comments down below. We'll have a little chat. See you guys very soon for some more thoughts on different films that aren't Luca. Don't know what those are going to be, but they will be. It's about as much as I'm going to... They will be.